Within this presentation, we're going to look at what we think parents need to know about what happens now with UCAS, with your student now most likely having sent off their application. There will be advice on what the students need to do for their next stage of their applications, and also the help we offer within the Careers and Progressions team. At the end, there are also contact details if you have any further questions. Students should now be at the stage where their UCAS application has been sent off and they're waiting for or receiving offers. Once these offers have come through, students can start thinking about their firm and insurance choices, and this is where students narrow their choices to 2 options, but there are some misconceptions. It's important that students do not view this choice as a shortlist that they will be able to choose from later. Their firm choice will be the course that they automatically accept if they achieve the necessary entry requirements. The insurance choice should be a course which has lower entry requirements that the student will automatically accept if they do not meet the entry requirements for their firm choice, but they do meet the entry requirements for the insurance. For this reason, a student should under no circumstances select an insurance choice that has a higher entry requirement than their firm choice, otherwise they could rule themselves out of both depending on their results. When you are having conversations with students about their firm and insurance choices, this slide represents the best way to approach the decision-making process. The firm choice should be the course which the student most wants to go to, and that they have received an offer for, that they can be achievable even if aspirational entry requirements. The insurance choice is effectively a backup plan, but it is important that the student could see themselves going to this university if it came to it. One key message that is important at this stage is that there is no immediate hurry for students to start making their choices. When each offer comes through on UCAS track, it will have a deadline attached to it, but as you can see by the dates on screen, offers received in the immediate future have a long time to make that decision, right up to June. If the student is struggling with making their choices, they should contact their UCAS lead or a member of the Careers and Progression team. Clearing is a system which students can use on or in the lead up to results day and is often discussed in the media. This system is where universities offer any spare places that they have in their courses, sometimes at lower entry requirements depending on the demand. Students automatically enter the clearing system if they do not achieve the entry requirements for either of their choices, and students can also enter the systems themselves if they see fit, if they have changed their mind about what they want to do. In the lead up to results day and on the day itself, the Careers and Progression team are available to support students through this process. On this slide, you can see the actual step-by-step process involved within clearing, with the key point being that the students need to contact the universities before making any applications to ensure that there are spaces on the course. If you'd like to pause the presentation at this point to look at this in more detail, please feel free to do this now. Students will be supplied with more information on the clearing process closer to the time. One area that often causes some stress with students and parents and carers alike is the accommodation process. When looking at the different accommodation options, it's important to see it for yourselves and then consider some of the factors on screen. Key points include the type of accommodation, whether they are halls or standard accommodation, where the accommodation is in relation to the area where the student will be studying, does the accommodation continue through school and university holidays, and the terms and conditions of the deposit and the general contract itself. Students can also often join groups on social media for people staying in the same accommodation where they can get to know their future peers. Each university will have different types of accommodation at different costs, so do ensure that the research is carried out in order not to get caught out. If, once the student moves into their accommodation, they decide that they are unhappy with it or the people that they are with, they can discuss this with the university, but it's always best to try and identify issues during the booking process. Again, there is no immediate hurry for this, and for more information in terms of timelines, please see the individual university websites. While at university or college, students will have 2 main costs, tuition fees and living costs, and they can apply for student finance to help with both. All eligible students can get a tuition fee loan to cover the full cost of the fees charged by their university or college, and also a basic rate of maintenance loan to help with living costs such as rent and bills. The basic rate of maintenance loan doesn't depend on your household income, but students can apply for an increased loan, and then that does take household income into account. Any loans that students borrow have to be paid back, but not until they finish or left their course and their income is over the repayment threshold. If after 40 years the loan is not repaid, it gets written off. There are also grants available for students who have a disability, including a long-term health condition, mental health condition or specific learning difference, or students who have children or an adult dependent who depends on them financially. These don't usually have to be paid back. The university may also offer bursaries, scholarships or other forms of financial help, and it's always worth checking with them too. When the student applies for student finance, you might need to give Student Finance England information about your income if the student has applied for student finance that's based on your household income. If this is the case, you'll be asked for financial details for the last full tax year prior to the start of that academic year. For example, if the student is applying for the 2023-24 academic year, the tax year will be 2021-22. This information will then be used to work out if the student can get extra maintenance loan on top of the basic rate maintenance loan. If your income in the current tax year is likely to be at least 15% lower than the previous tax year, Student Finance England can assess your household income on what you estimate your income will be. The most important thing to remember is that the amount that the student will repay will be based on how much they earn, not how much they borrow. Once they leave their course, the student will only start repaying when their income is above the repayment threshold, with the current UK threshold being £27,295 a year. In real terms, this means that if the student earns £2,310 a month before tax, they'll repay £3 a month. This is because £2,310 is £36 above the monthly threshold of £2,274, and 9% of £36 is £3, rounded down to the nearest pound. You can see a more detailed breakdown on the table on this slide. Student finance is often the most stressful and misconceived part of university applications. I've attached a link and a QR code here which goes to UCAS's Student Finance Guide, which has a lot of useful information, but you or the student can also come and speak to the careers team if you have any concerns. Student finance itself doesn't open until March 2023, so there's a lot of time if you do have any questions. Finally, we know that this is a lot of information and also a stressful time for both students and parents and carers alike. If the student has any questions at all about anything to do with their next steps, please encourage them to book a meeting with the Careers and Progressions team. They can do this through their timetabled course sessions, or my contact details are on screen now. I hope that you found this presentation useful, and we are happy to provide any further assistance if needed. Thank you for listening.